Well, we're well on our way to doing that by 2015, eliminating the deficit. The deficit this year is 25% smaller than last. Next year it'll be 25% smaller than this. We're looking at restraining government spending. Every government department is going through a strategic review to identify 5% that can be saved. Our projections are so far on track. Funnily enough, the projections by the Liberal Party for 2 years from now is exactly double the deficit that we forecast 2 years from now. So we've got a plan that's working. We've proven that through the economic downturn. People need to stick with a plan that's working.
Federal budget deficit should be eliminated as quickly as possible. As I understand it, it's currently at about 3.6% of GDP in 2009-2010. A Liberal government would take that down to 1% of GDP within the first 2 years of a government. How would we do that? We do that by not spending billions on mega prisons and billions on untendered jet fighters. We would show more spending discipline. The Harper regime has expanded its spending in terms of advertising, in terms of expenses for Minister's office and the Prime Minister's office. On the G20, G8 meeting, $1 billion went there for a 72-hour meeting. So we'd have greater spending discipline, and we have the utmost commitment to reducing that deficit.
The NDP has committed to eliminating our debt within 4 years. But the elimination begins with a fair tax regime. Why are corporations having billions of dollars in tax giveaways when that money can be used to reduce our debt? Why are we giving tax breaks to the largest corporations when most of the jobs in the country are provided by our small businesses? We should be giving them the tax breaks, because that's where we're going to get our strength. Right now, the responsibility of this country when it comes to taxes is squarely on the shoulders of the middle class. They are entitled to a reduction as well, but we're also talking about fair taxes and making sure that those tax dollars are put in the places where they belong.
The Green Party has a very prominent plan it's called the Green Tax Shift. Right now, the reason we are in a deficit situation is because, like the rest of the world, or certainly like the Americans, our economic system depends on growth, continuous growth. And growth is based on something called the GDP. The GDP is not a very good measure of our well-being. Many people, many experts, many economists have told us that the GDP measures everything, good and bad. So if things like the ducks that died in the tailings ponds, or the Exxon Valdez, or even the nuclear problems in Fukushima right now, all add to the country's GDP. So that measure of well-being just creates deficits and doesn't create well-being. We need something called a genuine progress indicator. I advise everyone to go to a guy called Mark Anielski's website, professor at the University of Alberta. He's written a book called The Economics of Happiness, which promotes the GPI, the gross genuine progress indicator.